Just a few blocks from where I'm sitting is a site that was once the largest manufacturer in Nashville. Today, the old May Hosiery Mill has been transformed, but as Laura Faber tells us, the past is a big part of the revitalization.
In the heart of the Wedgwood, Houston neighborhood of Nashville, an old industrial corner is being transformed into a new community, and it's ready for people.
You got to look back to go forward. And so what are the most successful urban neighborhoods? They're very walkable. They have a diverse, group of, retail, office, multifamily, living options. And they're not just all homogeneous. It's not just a sea of sameness.
Ben Weprin is the CEO and founder of AJ Capital and has a passion for revitalizing historic properties. This time, it's the old May Hosiery Mills, which used to manufacture socks. He was first drawn to the brick warehouses and their unique rounded edges and large black framed windows.
It always felt important to me, right? The history of these buildings, the responsibility of, of repositioning them, the responsibility of bringing them back to life, of telling that story. I've always been incredibly attracted to historic architecture.
The 7 vacant buildings on 4 acres is now home to businesses like the beautiful Soho House, a members-only hotel, complete with event space, theater, restaurant, pool, and fitness center. Apple Music is here, and Pastis, a legendary New York Parisian restaurant, is coming too. The revitalization of what's happening on this old May Hosiery Mills campus is exciting and focused on the future. But as the saying goes, if these walls could talk, what happened here in the past is remarkable, in fact, life-saving. It is a story of courage and survival and the Holocaust. A story Weprin had never heard until he started working on this project. A story that inspires him to honor the past.
When you think about, the risk that he took, how many people would do that? Especially here in the Southeast at a time where that wasn't wildly accepted like it is today. It's mind-blowing. And so you think, and by the way, it wasn't even that long ago. People forget, that was not that long a time ago when the Holocaust happened. And so, over time, things, it is really important to tell that story.
For 90 years, these buildings were once filled with May Hosiery Mill workers, knitting, dyeing and drying, pairing and packing socks.
My grandfather ran it for 30 years, my father ran it for 30 years, I ran it for 30 years.
93-year-old Jack May is the former CEO of the May Hosiery Mills. He loves that many things are being preserved from those days and give clues about the past, like the old May Hosiery Mill marker that hangs on the wall, and old-time card slots used by factory employees.
We did do all kinds of auxiliary services. Since we employed largely women, we opened a small commissary where you could buy staple goods. We saw that they had first-rate legal services, first-rate medical services, ran things like a barber shop, a beauty parlor, and maybe most loved was a service station. So if you had a car trouble, you could leave it there, and we had a good mechanic who could fix your car while you worked.
Dicey's Pizza sits in what used to be that very service station for factory employees. Tires are used in the landscaping, another nod to its past.
It is very important that people remember history, because how can we know who we are?
You have to look back to 1879 to see where it all started. Jack's grandfather, 17-year-old Jacob May, came to the U.S. from Germany in search of a better life.
That's Jacob May.
That's your grandfather.
That's my grandfather, and that's Mortimer.
At its height, the company Jacob May built, May Hosiery Mills, shipped 1 million socks a week all over the country, even to the moon. The factory provided socks for Apollo astronauts.
That's Dan. He spent a lot of time, knew everybody by their first name. These are some of the foremen who met on Saturday mornings in the lunchroom. We employed thousands of Middle Tennesseans in the first decade of the 20th century. From 1900 to 1910, it was the largest employer in Nashville, certainly the largest manufacturer, until the coming of DuPont right at the beginning of World War II.
The Second World War would inspire a whole new focus for the May family.
30s brought the coming of the great autocrats, Hitler primarily, and organized his government around the persecution of Jews. It wasn't your fault, it was theirs.
In 1936, Jack May's uncle, Mortimer May, made the first of many trips to his childhood home in Germany to help rescue fellow Jews from the Nazis.
Just a brilliant man, brilliant speaker, soft-spoken, wonderful fellow. And made several trips to where the family had come from. He worked diligently up till the end of the 1930s to 1938, really, to rescue these people. The red tape was enormous. It was very difficult for them to get out. You had to guarantee that if they came to this country that they would not be public charges, would never ask for public money, and they would have a job or means of support. And of course, the fact that the sock factory was here meant that he could endorse it.
Numbers vary, but the family estimates that Mortimer liberated nearly 300 Jews, sponsoring them and then employing many at the mill. Hetty Lustig was just a child when her family was sponsored by Mortimer May and brought to Nashville. She talked about that experience in the NPT documentary, Living On.
And my dad came here and worked at the May Hosiery Mill, and my mom did too. And I remember when I'd walk to school, it was the greatest thing. In the springtime, I thought it was so wonderful to see the grass. I really appreciated nature. This was a freedom I had never experienced because I really was so fearful in Germany.
All of them made great adjustments in Nashville, became like everybody else in the 1880s, 90s, 10s and 20s. Millions of people immigrated. This story of Jake May and the hosiery mill is one that's repeated over and over again. People with great courage came in the freedom of America. They let their talents blossom, and it made what America is today.
It is a consequential story about heroic actions by one family that changed the lives of so many others. Courage that is noted in unexpected places in this new transformation of the May Hosiery Mills. The old brick walls of the Wedgwood, Houston community will forever hold an important history regarding the Holocaust.